Jim Wallace joining us on the program from the Gun Owners Action League. How are you, sir?
And welcome back to the Second Amendment Battleground State. We always make it interesting for your listeners.
Man, you are not kidding. So we have not one or two. We have three candidates running for the Democratic nomination for Attorney General in the state of Massachusetts. And it sounds like, Jim, they're all sort of vying to be the biggest anti-gunner.
Well, I don't know if we can say that about all of them. I mean, Rep. Naughton's, Representative Hank Naughton's been running, and he's actually been an A-plus for quite a while.
Has he?
Yeah. He's actually got an A-plus rating from Goal, and he's actually still the chair, the House chair of Public Safety Committee. So, if he makes a successful run, hopefully he maintains that record and maybe does some positive changes here in Massachusetts. But we already know one candidate that's certainly not going to be on our side, don't we?
Yeah, no kidding. The former state senator, Mr. Tolman, Warren Tolman, who says that if he's elected Attorney General, he'll require that every pistol sold in the state of Massachusetts be equipped with fingerprinting ID technology. And he says he can do this, Jim, without legislation, without any sort of bill, with a snap of his fingers. He can make this happen in Massachusetts.
Well, what he's referring to is the consumer protection laws, which unfortunately we have the handgun regulations under now about what can and can't be sold in Massachusetts. And it was bad enough that those were certainly put in fraudulently because they actually never had a case where somebody was harmed by a poorly manufactured handgun. And Kim, I think you'd find this interesting. I actually met with the Attorney General staff, the President Attorney General staff, about a year ago about these regulations that are in place now. And we were trying to get them to see the light. And these aren't really doing anything. How about we just get rid of them? And I spoke to the gentleman I was addressing, and I said, you guys tried for 6 years before you passed those regs, and you couldn't find anybody that was hurt by a poorly manufactured handgun. And he looked me right in the eye, Cam, and said, yeah, but nobody's been hurt since either. So it's just amazing sometimes what comes out of the mouths of people in office.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, when you look at these types of proposals here, first of all, I mean, it's. I was talking with Michael Graham about this yesterday, and Mr. Tolman says, quoted here in the Worcester Telegram, that these mechanisms would save the lives of police. It said 17% of police who die on duty are killed by criminals who get control of the officer's gun. Now, Jim, in New Jersey, where they instituted this smart gun law back in, 94? They actually exempted law enforcement. They said when this technology becomes available, civilians who purchase firearms are going to have to buy guns with this technology. Law enforcement won't apply to you. Now, I made the point with Michael Graham yesterday that we want our first responders to be able to respond, and they need to be able to know that their gun is going to work. I, carrying a firearm for self-defense, also want to know that my gun is going to be able to work if I need it to, Jim. So why on earth would anybody adopt some sort of standard where this supposedly life-saving technology is not going to be required to be used by first responders? And do you think that former Senator Tolman would actually require cops in Massachusetts to also use these firearms?
I am quite certain that the law enforcement entities, the law enforcement unions, would pay a visit to Mr. Tolman before he enacted any such regulations to make sure that they were not included in that mix. And of course, even on the average owner's level, what about training, Cam? I mean, Gun Owners Action League, we probably train 1,000 people a year. Are we going to have to go to the Attorney General for some sort of exemption, or are we going to have the guns outfitted with a multi-fingerprint system of some sort where our trainers can actually activate the guns? Basically, Cam, you and I both know these pie-in-the-sky ideas come from people that either don't know anything about guns, that hate guns, hate gun owners. And in this case, I think it's actually he's just trying to make a statement on where he's going to be politically so he can get support from certain groups, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. But it's pretty sad when people go to these extremes to basically lay out their position on things. and really don't think them through. And in the long run, they really make themselves look pretty foolish.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've seen some stories indicating that we may see gun control measures introduced early in the new year in Massachusetts, Jim.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. At least that's what everything's pointing towards. We have a couple things here that we're waiting for. One is the Speaker's task force that he put together to study the gun laws here in Massachusetts. He put that task force together, I want to say around March. Unfortunately, they're telling the press that they're just about to release their findings, and they've actually never met with me. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they come out with. To be fair, they did meet with one of our board members, but only for about 45 minutes, and they've had pretty close to a full year to study all this stuff, but really weren't interested in speaking to the gun-owning community about it. So I'm pretty disappointed in that. The other thing we're waiting for is for the Committee on Public Safety to release whatever piece of legislation they're going to release from that committee, because that'll be the big catalyst as to what actually hits the House floor. And then, of course, as you know, amendments will be filed, and it'll turn into some kind of battle, which I'm sure it will.
All right. Well, listen, Jim, I appreciate you coming on the program, sir. Thank you very much, and have a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, and we're all hoping for the Patriots this weekend. So
we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Playoff.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Jim. We'll talk again very soon.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.